Mamdani is also facing criticism here at home in New York City. Some family members of 9/11 victims have launched a petition urging organizers to bar him from attending the ceremony commemorating the 25th anniversary of the terror attacks at Ground Zero. The petition, launched 2 days ago, has more than 12,000 signatures. Organizers of the ceremony tell Fox the Day of Remembrance is free of politics, with politicians across the spectrum attending each year, but not giving remarks.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So the families of the victims of 9/11 has moved to ban Zohran Mamdani, the communist mayor of New York, from attending the ceremony to remember the victims of 9/11. And Zohran Mamdani is panicking because this is a complete humiliation for the communist mayor. And he was asked about this at a press conference, and his response clearly tells that he's panicking. But let us get into it by taking a look at the reasons why these families, they don't want Zohran Mamdani at this ceremony. And then we'll take a look at Zohran Mamdani's response to being asked about this. Watch this.
Giovanni Galante, a husband of Grace and Catherine Galante, who was killed on 9/11, said this on Saturday: "Our objection is based on his public record, his failure to meaningfully acknowledge the horror of that day, and his employment of support for or associations with individuals who have minimized 9/11, defended terrorists, or even suggested America deserved the attacks. This day is sacred to us. It is not political. It is not a platform for those connected to such views. His presence would be deeply hurtful and inappropriate, like an unwelcome guest at a deeply personal ceremony."
That's right. There are a number of families who regard Mr. Mamdani as an apologist for Islamic terror.
Steve, I'm just being told the change.org petition, when I read the article, it had 1,100 signatures. Our producers are telling us now 11,000.
Wow, 11,000 signatures.
That's significant.
It is understandable as to why the families of the victims of 9/11, they don't want Zohran Mamdani to show up. It's because Zohran Mamdani tries to be an apologist for these barbaric individuals, humans that attacked the country on 9/11. He tried to minimize what happened. He tried to make excuses for what happened. So it is understandable as to why the families, they'll see his presence as hurtful. It is understandable because Zohran Mamdani ran on this political platform that is anti-American, anti-Western. So it only makes sense. And here we have that video of Zohran Mamdani being asked about this at a press conference earlier this morning, where the families, they don't want him at this ceremony, and take a look at his response.
People who are survivors of 9/11 are calling on you not to go to 9/11 memorial services. I wonder how you feel about the fact that they're trying to keep you away.
I will proudly honor the families, the survivors, the first responders forever impacted by that horrific terror attack by standing alongside them at this year's 9/11 commemoration, reaffirming that we will never forget the solemn day felt by all of us who call this city home, and frankly, by all of us who call this country home.
So that was Zohran Mamdani being asked about the families not wanting him to attend the ceremony. And he tries to be somewhat empathetic, somewhat sympathetic to what happened. And we know that Zohran Mamdani right here, he's putting on an act. And I'm going to show you exactly why. Because earlier last year, earlier last year, when Zohran Mamdani was making comments in regards to 9/11, Zohran Mamdani did not acknowledge the victims of 9/11. He acknowledged his aunt. Zohran Mamdani made it all about himself and his family, that they were the victims. Watch this.
I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of New York City. I want to speak to the memory of my aunt. Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
According to Zohran Mamdani, him and his aunt and all these Muslims in New York City, they were the real victims of 9/11. Not the individuals that were working at the Twin Towers when both towers fell, when two planes crashed into the towers and folks were jumping out of buildings. They weren't the real victims. Not folks that were working at the Pentagon when a plane crashed into the Pentagon. They weren't the real victims. Not the folks that was on that other flight that crashed in Pennsylvania. They weren't the real victims. It's Zohran Mamdani and his aunt, apparently. And this is to show you that Zohran Mamdani is a complete fraud. He doesn't care about honoring the victims of 9/11. And even the aunt that he mentioned, the aunt that's the victim, she's not his actual aunt. And here's Zohran Mamdani being confronted about lying, essentially. Take a look at his response.
I was at the press conference yesterday. They said, "Can you tell us who your aunt is, who you were referring to?" I said, "Yes, this is my aunt. This is my Zerafui. This is my father's cousin, and this was her story."
So how can you convince New Yorkers if that is the type of person that you are, in other words, that you don't tell the truth?
Well, it's not a lie. My father's cousin is my aunt. That's how I referred to her growing up my whole life, Zerafui.
Oh, so I see how it is. Zohran Mamdani is pulling a classic Democrat move when it comes to identity, because this is what the Democrats, they do. Because what he's saying is, well, she's my aunt, but not really. She's my father's cousin. I grew up calling her my aunt, so she's my aunt. She's not your aunt. You were caught lying because you wanted to essentially make yourself and those around you that you affiliate yourself with the victims. And we all know you guys aren't the victims, because the real victims are those folks, the first responders who died that day, the folks who got burned in the towers. And here we have this video, this report explaining Zohran Mamdani's alleged ties to all these Islamist extremists. And this is crazy. Watch this.
Anniversary ceremony at Ground Zero. The families are calling out this mayor over his controversial record and his ties to Islamic extremists, like the imam who testified on behalf of the World Trade Center bombers. He even defended a terrorist in a 2015 post, suggesting FBI surveillance is what pushed him towards al-Qaeda. It's part of a longer history of Mamdani downplaying 9/11 and making it about himself.
Growing up in the shadow of 9/11, I have known what it means to live with an undercurrent of suspicion. I will always remember the disdain I faced, the way my name could immediately become Muhammad.
The way that he makes that about himself, as you read, is really quite something. It's narcissistic, egotistical, and quite frankly, disgusting. But it's not just all of those statements there. It's when you have somebody who talked about globalize the Intifada and would not condemn the use of that phrase, and you see the ongoing again.
Honestly, I don't know how Zohran Mamdani became the mayor of New York City. I don't know what New Yorkers were thinking when they elected Zohran Mamdani, because for one, this guy is a communist. He's a socialist. And this guy's record of affiliating himself with all these alleged Islamist extremists should be the biggest red flag. The city that experienced 9/11 somehow elected this guy to lead them. It just doesn't make sense at all. And here's something else that I want to show you, because this guy, Zohran Mamdani, is sitting down with this guy. His name is Hassan Piker. He's a popular streamer online. And these two are pretty close. We're talking about two communists, two socialists. And Hassan Piker is someone that stated that America deserved 9/11. And this is to show you that Zohran Mamdani, he doesn't care about America. He doesn't care about these victims of 9/11. And to show you exactly what I'm talking about, here's Zohran Mamdani saying the reason why he got into politics is for a foreign nation, not for Americans, not for the American people, not for this country, but for a foreign nation.
I was somebody who began my journey in organizing and in politics by co-founding my school's first Students for Justice in Palestine. The struggle for Palestinian liberation was at the core of my politics and continues to be. And so I struggled to find a home in New York City that could bring that politics in a sense of coherence with the politics I felt around the future of New York City. And here was this organization that endorsed BDS.
The question that I'll continue to ask is, why is America the battleground for all these different ideologies and all these different issues around the world? Because if you look at Russia, Ukraine, it's dividing Americans. If you look at Palestine, Gaza, it's dividing Americans. You look at all these issues throughout the world, it's dividing Americans here. And the reason for that is whenever you import a whole bunch of people with different ideologies, they don't care about assimilating, then this is what you have as a result. Because remember, Zohran Mamdani was born in Uganda, came to the United States, became a citizen in 2018, and less than 10 years, he's the mayor of one of the most powerful cities in the world. And that brings us to the end of this video. Please let me know what you think in regards to the families of the victims of 9/11 trying to ban Zohran Mamdani from showing up. Do you agree with them or do you disagree? Also, please consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching all the way to the end.